So thank you for the welcome and thank you for attending this presentation. It's dedicated to our very small university in the north of Italy, currently working on some of the themes that represent a crossroad between many of the subjects and the possibilities that are represented in this fair. Indeed, is Pollenzo a unique university because our university has been founded 11 years ago by the international slow food movement, and it's not simply a university dedicated to the activity of the association, but it's indeed a network that has been awarded by the Minister of the University in Italy of an official recognition. So the degrees that are delivered in Pollenzo are legal under all points of view among the European university system. Founded 11 years ago, the university is based on three ingredients. On one side, there was respected professors, mainly from the area of history of food, like Massimo Montanari, one of the well-known historians of food of Europe. A government ministry at that time that was very concerned about food education, a topic that is not just for Italians sensitive, but all around the world. And the founding organization, Slow Food, that at that moment was transforming. What is slow food today has a lot to do what have done the university through the last 11 years. Indeed, when was founded slow food among more or less 30 years ago, it was an association of gourmet, I would say gluttons, interested in eating fine food. Well, about 12 years ago, it became, on the contrary, a network of people interested in protecting biodiversity, in enhancing all the activities to protect this richness unique of the planet that is biodiversity. This evolution since then continued constantly, and we are still based on the basic idea by Brillat-Savarin, that is that food is the crossroad among different fields of knowledge of humans, and for this reason it takes the effort of many disciplines in order to be well understood. And that's why we are interdisciplinary and not just multidisciplinary, because we think that food is not a single topic but more like a crossroad of different sciences, namely hard sciences and human sciences. And this is very well displayed by the programs we deliver. First of all, by the interaction among hard sciences taught during the first years and human sciences that are the main part of the second and third year in the bachelor program. If gastronomic sciences belong to a single branch of culture, they are not useful. Please consider the icon you see on the screen now. This is an icon representing the composition of food wastage. Food wastage is a larger concept than food waste. It is a concept that is made of different parts, as you can see. The food loss at the moment of agriculture and at the moment of processing, that are the two moments more relevant for these fair people, and the food waste properly. That means the food wasted by distribution, by the restaurants and the catering services, and at the time of domestic consumption. According to European Parliament figures, food waste is about 40% in the field and about 20% concentrated at the moment of consumption in our private houses. Well, to work on this problem takes to involve different points of view, because if we deal with this only with the skills of a single scholarship, then probably we miss other aspects and we are not able to front this relevant problem. And investigating food means answering other thought questions. We have, first of all, to concentrate on the meaning of the words sustainable and sustainability. We've seen it through a little tour this morning, many times recalled in this fair. But if you cross the ocean, in Europe, the term sustainability has become kind of a mantra. And it's likely to become a mantra even for the top payer customer, even in America and not just in Europe. But what does mean sustainable? Well, sustainable is what satisfies individual needs. Sustainable is what is better and longer lasting per se, because it takes less inputs and requires less energy to produce, or is sustainable because wastage is effectively reduced. When this morning interviewing some merchants of fruits coming from Peru, we were asking about the blueberries cultivating there. Well, the production of blueberries in the former desert of Peru, how sustainable is it? If we mind the planes that we need to import these fruits from there to the US, if we mind the water that took to be transported to the desert, is this sustainable according to the meaning that it can last for a long time, or is it sustainable under the economic point of view in this moment just because of the price, and for this reason only under one dimension of sustainability? Then sustainable means affordable and healthy for consumers and profitable enough for producers and distributors, because evidently sustainability involves economic sustainability. Placing a balanced burden on Earth, because when we reduce wildlife and when we reduce the biodiversity of Earth to cultivate over certain balance, we are undermining our future opportunities. Reversible. A field and a glass and concrete greenhouse are not sustainable the same way. One is reversible, the other one a little less. Resilient. Any reduction of biodiversity threatens the future possible solutions to problems we have not yet faced. So it is not just a matter of what we lose today when we reduce biodiversity in order to implement our business, but is particularly and more severely a problem of what we could need in future and we are currently effectively losing. Investigating food means answering for this reason tough questions. But we have really said everything through the words spent until now. We think no. And indeed, this is the particular vision that we try to deepen in our university. Indeed, when we talk about food, we are not just talking about processes, we are not just talking about nutrients, about market and about regulations for food. Because if we just remain concentrated on these aspects, we lose any aspect related with freedom, and food has a lot to do with individual freedom. We lose the opportunity to focus on goodness. Nobody talks about goodness. We have experienced that 5 minutes ago when we have been offered a blueberry from Peru, and even the marketer of these blueberries were not satisfied about the taste of them. Because goodness is a matter, and it's not only a matter of nutrients and inner content of food. It's more about narration. It's more about what food has to say to our personal history, how it matches with our culture and our habits. What about the cultural heritage embedded in food? We see, having a tour in this fair, we see many times recalled since 1970, since 1907, and since like that. And what does mean that we recall the time in which our business has been established? It means that the long time in which we have had that food has shaped our tradition and it can be the tradition of the production or the tradition of the market, or in the end, the tradition of the consumption. What about this food tradition and their effectiveness in connecting people? What about the crucial role of food in creating our identity and preparing us to live in a multicultural world? If we look at the cuisine of the United States, for the Europeans this is really surprising. Cuisine of the United States is the result of the melting pot today. There is no more any dish that is called with an Italian name in the US that is properly Italian. Is Italian-American cuisine, or is Chinese-American cuisine, or in many cases is Chinese-Italian-American cuisine. And this is the result of the multicultural work that food shapes in our lives. Well, for this reason, UNISIG, the university we represent, has developed out an attention to these aspects as well. We don't consider nutritional aspects or cultural aspects as something that can be divided and treated separately in a proficient way. We have to keep them together. We call that the holistic point of view on food. And in Europe, this has been already recognized also by the European regulation about geographical indication. What you see now in bold font is the first whereas of the regulation 1151 of the European Parliament that introduced the most recent frame for GIs, geographical indications in Europe. And what you see is no more something that is only related with good quality food. It's something that has to do with traditions. It's something that has to do with kind of heritage that is embedded in the food we used to produce and we used to eat. The quality and diversity of the Union's agricultural fisheries and aquaculture production is one of its important strengths, giving a competitive advantage to the Union's producers and making a major contribution to its living cultural and gastronomic heritage. Well, culture of food seems to me something that lacks in this fair and possibly could be improved in the next occasions of it, because it's fine to know where food comes from. It's fine to know the prices of all the good things that we have been displayed in this fantastic hall, but it would be great to know more about the culture, the tradition, the informations related with the consumption of the food that we are suggested to taste and possibly to buy in this fair. What we do as research, academic research at the university? Well, we have academic research concentrating on chemistry, sensory analysis, philosophy, anthropology, botany, law, and history, with very abundant recent publications. And we release databases. A food industry monitor focusing on food products of Italy. Well, you probably don't know, but Italy have been in the last 150 years in many times based in its national economy on the export of food, and particularly of fresh food, through the Alps, selling it in Germany and in the Central and Northern Europe. The Food Industry Monitor is a way to analyze the results of food industry in our country and to deliver the results of this database for all the industries that are interested in analyzing these results. And alongside, we have a brand new project that is the Arc of Taste, aiming to collect specialties from all around the world, trying to find the ones around the world that are more likely to represent a tradition, a population, a style of consumption. Then we have applied research. Applied research means innovation, that is basically research, academic research, with its results brought to the industries in order to allow them to profit of the academic research and get in touch with the most recent results of it. We have innovation programs with Compass Group, worldwide famous canteen management and facility management society in Europe, based in the UK, but originally born in Cincinnati as the Procter & Gamble Canteen Service. GMS Elliot, that is a worldwide operating restaurant chain, not restaurant chain, restaurant services, based originally in France. And Costa Cruising Company, that is a branch of Carnival Cruising Company, working in the Mediterranean Sea and in the seas around Europe. And we have delivered recent projects with many companies, not just working in Italy. First of all, Autogrill, that is a partner of HMS, and you find many of the activity of this group even in the airports of America, and not just alongside the highways in this continent and in Europe. Finiper, Feltrinelli, and Baglioni Hotels, that are important Italy-based companies working on supermarket, libraries, and hotels, 5-star hotels only. Last but not least, we work with institutions like hospitals, because I don't know if it's the same in America, but when we want to say in Italy that something is not good, we used to say, oh, this is hospital food. And possibly this is worse in the worst time it can happen, because when you are in the hospital, it's something that adds more pain to what you are suffering to eat bad. Well, this sensitivity is improving in Europe, and particularly in Italy, because the country is well known for the quality of food. And for this reason is, let me say, a deeper shame that we have no good food in our hospitals. And so working on these projects is a great reason to be proud for our university, because improving the quality of the food that people have when they have to cure themselves into hospitals is something really important for a tiny university like UNISIG. Well, to get some results in order to improve the vision of our university and to transfer it to the companies that I mentioned before, we have to work on disruptive measures, but possibly keeping these disruptive measures in a velvet glove. Indeed, we work in a free world, and we work for the free world. So consumers have to be helped to choose what's better for them and the planet, because no imposition can be thought to change the food chain. We do believe in an educational approach with the companies and with the consumers. There is no good result for an approach that is based on regulations only, or any kind of different obligation for the companies and for the consumers. In order to respect this individual freedom, we have to innovate coordinated actions, and first of all, we have to teach people that they spend not enough for their food. Currently in the US, the individual sum spent of the wage for food is less than 10%. In Europe, it goes from 10 to 15% depending on the countries. Well, when we reflect on it, this is really an harmful point even for the business makers. Because when we are able to teach people that they have to spend more to eat better, to get healthier results from the consumption of food, then we are establishing condition for a long-lasting business and for a long-lasting improvement of it. It's not just a question of philosophy, it's a matter of economy. The final goal of the different actions should be the acceptance of some key points. Food is you. The food tradition of your family, your land, your population is a very important part of your cultural heritage. For this reason, food has to be recognized as something embedding value. not just a commodity embedding nutrients. Food is a common good, not a commodity like any other. Good food is a key factor in the sustainability of public health system. If we better it today, we'll have better elder time later. And it is not because people speak English that the expectancy of life in Britain or in the US is less than in Japan or in Italy. It depends on food, and it depends on the balance among the different nutrients, the traditional consumption. Diets can be very varied and rich, but at the same time can be very different one from the other, and very healthy in one case and bad for the health in another case. So what we are aiming to do in future, we think that our tiny university has to work with companies and with the consumers in order to increase the sensitivity for the value of food and for its appreciation under many different points of view. We have to increase the supply of courses for people currently working in F&B management. It's incredibly disruptive when people that is working in F&B discovers how powerful it is to talk about the value of food and the inner value of it, particularly under the point of view of tradition and goodness. We should preserve the broad internationalization of our tiny university. We are little for sure, but we have had people from 70 different countries in 11 years studying in our university, because only with a relationship with people coming from different countries can be really fruitful for shaping the future of food. We have to share our educational model with other universities around the world in order to disseminate not just the results, because we really don't believe that good results can come only in our tiny university, but we have to disseminate the way we work, the method to research and teach. About that, I aim at adding a single thing. We include into the programs study trips that are very important. In 11 years, we have had 980 study trips leaving Italy to go elsewhere and knowing gastronomic systems, from India to the US, from the Ecuador to China or Japan. And this is probably the most characterizing aspect of our teaching method, because when you are taught hands-on about the way in which in a certain country food has been shaped, created, and then is today consumed, then you are really able to get in touch with the soul of food, and you are able to take the inner content of it and use it into innovative processes when you come back. There is a company, I'd like to give you this example. A young company of former students of our university created a business in the city of Turin, that maybe you know for the cars, in north of Italy. After being in Mumbai, they saw people going around with bicycles with many small metal boxes linked to the bicycle. And they asked what was this, and they were taught it was the lunch that women were preparing home, and these people were going around the city to pick the lunch in these small metal boxes at home and bring it to the office, to the bureau where the husbands were working. This is possible in India because many women are not yet working too, and so there is someone home to prepare food. Well, they got the idea, they got in touch with it, and they brought to Italy and developed into a business. And the business is they could not go home and ask for the preparation of lunch because there is nobody home. Both wife and husband are working, but they could establish a kitchen, preparing food, and then taking it into modern metal boxes and bring it to the different offices just in time for being eaten during working time. with high quality food, better taste, and nutrients that are a lot better than convenience food that you can find in a bar or in any other opportunity of consumption on the street. So, thanks to this example, I can go rapidly to the conclusions. We are to deliver our international manifesto, and if you would like, we will share it with the organization of the fair in order to let you, when possibly, appreciate it. The manifesto shows clearly that food has to be considered under many points of view to be effectively known and appreciated and possibly innovated. We have to release a wide dissemination. We have to release wide dissemination projects abroad, because currently we are working too much in Italy, but particularly with the partnership with Compass Group, we are working on it and aim at releasing the first projects abroad in the next year, 2016. Other development, establishment of solid and effective relationship with public institutions charged with writing and implementing food policies. I'm a legal scholar indeed, and I must admit that among the European institutions, the sensitivity for sustainability, origin, and problems related with production is currently increasing a lot. Yesterday we had the opportunity to listen to many presentations. I must say that the companies working with Europe shown many signs of the attention of European consumers for provenance of food, for local food, and for sustainable food too. Well, this is a flavor, probably, but this flavor is driving many people, shaping their choices of consumption. And if you ever tour around the fair this morning, you'll find some American producers already claiming for the importance of producing and consuming locally. Even, I think, big producers, not just producers that are part of a farmer market, but even biggest producers and sellers of fresh vegetables. Well, this sensitivity in Europe is increasing since the time we had the first recognition of geographical indication about 23 years ago. The first regulation of Europe dedicated to PDOs, protected designations of origin, and PGI, protected geographical indications, dates back in 1992. And since that time, the sensitivity of Europeans for origin has increased a lot and has gone a lot over the simple area of PDOs and PGIs. Today, it is important for people to know where food has been produced, even if it's common convenience food and not just if it's food that is labeled as a PDO or a PGI. Then we have to produce non-academic teaching materials focused on food consumption and its relationship with health, taste, and culture. We aim at implementing the Arc of Taste and the Food Industry Monitor in order to offer year by year more refined instruments to know the world of food and to appreciate the way in which we are shaping the future choices of consumption. As I told you before, since 2004, more than 1,700 students from 76 countries have come to Pollenzo to make a difference in the world. And this difference is not a difference in under the revolutionary point of view, that is evidently something that embeds a violent approach to the need for a change, but is a difference in the eyes through which people look at the world. And many of them are now involved in innovative processes in food management, in food and beverages management all around the world, in production, innovations, but also in communication. We have the slide later to see in which fields they are currently working. And as I told you before, this is another way to look at the world from the North Pole, evidently. Since 2004, over 980 study trips have left our university to 50 countries, and for this reason the students have had the opportunity not only to see the world differently, but to see the world directly, hands-on, the places, the populations, the workers, and the traditions. What do they do today after the study? Our alumni work more in marketing, communication, and in the management related with food, with the third important sector, that is food services and kitchen. Indeed, we don't teach how to cook. It's not a master chef university. We teach a lot of things about food, but cuisine properly is out of the topics of our teaching programs and our activities. Despite these facts, many students that have spent 3 years or 5 years or just 1 year in a master program at Pollenzo work into cuisine, being laborers into kitchens all around the world. We have had many of them serving in important restaurants, even 3-star ones in Europe and in the US. 10.6% work into commerce, even in innovative enterprises. 6.6 in R&D, particularly R&D dedicated to innovate food. 4% as food consultant, 5.4 in administration, and then in smaller percentages in journalism, production, education, quality control, and others. What is important is that in the 21.4% of students involved in management, many of them are indeed working into their own business. We have a high range of students, a high percentage of students that start up their own business after university. Through the years they spend in Pollenzo, they are so intensely influenced by inputs they have, by the meetings they have, by the opportunity to know different ways to relate with food, that they get really entrepreneurial before the end of their study, and immediately after the end of their study start developing their own business, and for this reason are interested in the management of it and work effectively to the management of it. Well, I thank you for your attention. This is the place where we work, kind of a German paper called it the Hogwarts of Food, and indeed it sounds like similar. It's a fancy castle built by the Sardinian King Charles Albert in the first half of 19th century, with a Gothic style that really remembers the locations used for Harry Potter's movies. And here we have the administration and the classrooms where we teach in the master courses. Alongside there is a former farm that has been adapted for the classes and is now hosting the large numbers classes of students, the ones of the bachelor degree and the postgraduate degree. So thank you very much for your attention. I'll be happy to answer to your questions, and I do thank you for remaining for this presentation in the time of lunch. That is a great alternative to any kind of presentation. Okay, a very nice question. Our teaching language, we have two teaching languages that are English and Italian. Depending on the program, we have made different choices. The bachelor degree is effectively bilingual. The first year is totally delivered in English because the class is normally made of 60% Italians and 40% foreigners. All the all the lessons are in English, and this is kind of facilitation for people coming from abroad, while they are getting used with the Italian environment in which they live, and they start having exchanges with their colleagues from Italy. In the second and the third year, the classes are usually in Italian, but with many inlays in English and teaching materials in English. This allows our students, hopefully, to come out bilingual. That means if they are Italians with a very good level of English, we expect them to get out with a C2 level of English according to the European language frame. And we expect the foreigners to get used with Italian enough to be able to understand and to answer in a conversation. This is something that is important to us because the university have been created in Italy with the help of the government and of many industries of Italy, and for this reason to implement the knowledge of Italian in foreigner students, namely the younger ones, is very important. In the master courses, things go completely different, and there all the classes are only in English. Master courses gather today more than 90% students from abroad. They are a kind of program that is more appreciated abroad than in Italy. In Italy we have a slightly different university system. We used to study 3+2 year programs, and the masters are preferred by the foreigner students, and for this reason there only English is used, and these students have all the classes taught in this language. The same language is used during the study trips. Okay, so just to give you a glance, in 1 year master program, the students have 7 study trips, so they spend more or less 2 months per year out of Pollenzo, having direct experience of gastronomic systems. We would be very interested in knowing the work you do in South Africa directly through one of our next study trips, because we have been in many regions alongside, particularly in the sub-Saharan area. We go very regularly from Ethiopia, Kenya, Uganda. We are very regularly there with students, but South Africa too have been a goal of previous study trips, and it would be nice to know how companies work there in order to implement distribution of fresh fruit and fresh vegetables, starting from them and all around the world. During the study trips, English is the frank language used in any case. And then there is a little people that learns also Piemontese, that is the local dialect, but is a fancy detail, just useful to talk with the president of the university, that is Carlo Petrini, founder of Slow Food, whose mother language is the Piemontese dialect indeed. Well, please. I'm sorry, I didn't get. We are working hard on it, and we are going to deliver the first one next year. 1 week or 2 week programs provided for Americans particularly, and they are to be launched and to be held in Pollenzo in the next fall. The idea is exactly to summarize the experience of a gastronomic holistic course in 1 or 2 weeks. That means 4 days in class with an intense program, 4 hours in the morning and 4 in the afternoon, having a balance of hard sciences and soft sciences, focusing on food. Let me say, ethnobotany, that means the anthropology of the consumption of plants, sensory analysis, regulation of food production in Europe, marketing of food through successful cases, starting from wine or other successful cases of the region for 4 days in a week, and the 5th day spent in a study trip in the territory. And they will be released with certificates since next year. But we are also working on courses under license of the University of Gastronomic Sciences. We have been requested of that from universities in Germany and in Japan, and we are managing memorandum of understanding in order to let them use our method and teach the way we teach. So in the classes and hands-on in these countries in the next years. So the development of courses and the enrichment of the range of courses is increasing and will be in the next years a lot. Thank you for asking.